Oh, buddy, this second part of this reunion, things got really, really real, and the hard questions came completely to the surface. Hey guys, thanks so much for clicking on the video. This is my review for Married to Medicine. This is season 8. It's episode 18, which is actually part 2 of the reunion. Like I said, the hard questions came in and they were being fired, and it was a lot. And I mean that's an understatement. It was a lot. Jackie and Simone, most uh the hardest part was Scott and Contessa. But we've been waiting all season to see where that was going to end up. It was like, what's going on? I knew when it finally broke ground that it was going to be a mess, and it was. It was a mess. It was a whole mess. It really, really was. But let's just go ahead and start here. When we shut out from part 1, and it's been 2 weeks because we had the 4th of July, so we kind of like just been sitting on this. We start out with Contessa. She's revealed, Claude revealed that Contessa is filed for separation. Yeah, and what is that? What is the difference between filing for separation and filing for divorce? When people are married and you talking about leaving each other, I don't care what word you give it, it's the same thing. Breakup. A breakup of a marriage is horrible. It is the last thing that anybody wants to do. Nobody, listen, when you're going out and you're finding a dress and it's $6,000-$7,000, depending on where your budget is, but at a low end, you can easily spend $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 on a wedding gown. When you are looking at that $10,000, $12,000 putting this wedding together and carrying on, the last thing you are thinking of is a separation. It's not even an separate. No, buddy, we in this till the dirt. Till the dirt. And the dirt is a few more $1,000 when we get there. But, No. We don't, a wedding may look like the party is really for the other people, but it really isn't. It's lifelong commitment. People really get that. We are in a day where people, it's just, oh, child, I done been married 3-4 times. No. Till death do us part. Do I gotta bump you off? Ain't nobody going nowhere. But anyway, 16 years of marriage. Devastating. Devastating. But see, the problem is, ain't but one person devastated. Contessa. And I'm telling y'all, I've said this from when they first came on the show. I have always liked Scott and Contessa. I like them. I'm like Quad with that. When Quad told him, I'm Team Metcalf, I've been Team Metcalf. I want them to work. I just think they're so cute, and they got these kids, and you look at these kids, I mean, they are what you think of when you think of a family unit. Them kids look exactly like the two of them somewhere in the dark, and when they came to the light, you had them 3. And they look just like their parents. Just a cute, adorable family unit. And then they're both doctors. Beautiful home. Bank accounts to match everything else. It's like goals. But the shit's fucked up. The shit's fucked up. And the more we watch, the more we see. Scott is a goon. You're a goon. I like you, Dr. Scott, but you are a goon. You are way too smart to be so stupid. Truly. And Contessa, I thought you were strong. I thought you were strong. You are strong in some areas, but you're weak. You're weak. You're weak. There's some things that go all the way back to your childhood that you ain't shook. And that's why you getting done the way you're getting done. Because somebody else coming close, sis. I hate to be the one to say this, because you know I like y'all. Somebody would have left Scott years ago. Me? Personally, we probably would have never, if that's what Scott gives, me and Scott would have never even made it to the marriage. There wouldn't have been any kids. Ain't no goddamn way. That attitude of, he wants you to shut, he's very domineering and very dominant over top of her. And she's like, I mean, I see Contessa as like the chains and whip girl. Like, that's who I see her as. Like the girl with the thigh-high boot and the damn whip is saying, on your knees. But that's not who she is at all, is it? She just is soft in the center, which is not a problem. She's a woman. You're a woman. It's cool to be soft in the center. But foolish like this and saying, you know, I don't matter, just my children matter. To a point. But do you really believe that? Like that you really don't matter? If you don't matter, sis, you're no good to those kids. If you don't feel like you are worth anything more than that, I promise you, you're no good to those kids. No good at all. Where's Contessa? Where are you at? All this crying and... And from what I'm looking at, you should be crying. It's something to goddamn cry about. This shit is a mess. It is a mess. And Scott, you're not being truthful. You coming across as a freaking liar. A liar. You messy. You immature. And you need to get it together. Seriously, you will lose your family. If she ever wake up and the light come on, you're going to lose your family, pal. As you should. Because of just the foolishness of it all. And I don't think, you know, when they say, is he really cheating? Is he really... I don't know. I can't say that I don't believe him when he says, no, I'm not cheating. But if the right woman brush up against you, you'll do it. Because you weak too. You weak. And you got a problem when you think you can talk yourself out of anything. And you're saying shit, and the shit don't make no sense. No sense at all. But in your mind, you think you got it all under wraps. I can see it all in Scott. Scott feels like, and when it comes to Contessa, at this point, he can talk himself out of anything. But you actually stood up in Curtis in them's face and tried to do it to them. You ain't banging them when the lights is off. And for you to sit around and think that you could literally sit in their face and tell them any old thing, that's an issue. That is a Scott issue. That's the issue you got. That's the issue you got. And it'll be that very issue that if your wife, if that light bulb comes on, bruh, you're going to be the one crying. And eventually, trust me, it will come on. Women don't stay that docile. Every year she gets older. Every year that she gets older, she gets wiser. And remember, they age in maturity faster than us. And then she's around other women who already been in that situation. You got Jackie over there. You got Simone over there. Quad done been through a divorce. You already see he's intimidated by Quad. Because he was baby, when this first started, baby, Quad, you was in danger, girl. Sister Quad, baby, you was in danger. Curtis, come on, Curtis. Curtis stopped it. Because Scott was going to let your ass have it. He was getting ready to let you have it. And we all know Quad. Quad could not withstand the things that were getting ready to come up out of Scott's mouth. Quad would have never forgave him. She would have never, ever forgave him. And Curtis goddamn knew it. Curtis said, oh, no. And Grimace was all for it. See, Grimace is petty. He petty as hell. He really is. Eugene is one of the girls. And I say that, and I don't mean he's gay or anything like that. He one of the girls in the sense, you know, he's Toya's best friend. Him and Toya, they have more than just pillow talk. Toya and Grimace have kitchen table talk, baby. They have KTTL over at their house, even though that's my show. But they have it at their house. They got kitchen table talk live right at their house. He is her best girlfriend, okay? He down with all the shit and all. He wanted the girls. He wanted the girls. He's her best girlfriend. That's her best Judy right there. That's why she go off on everybody else and scream and yell and act a fool with everybody, because whenever she go home, she got it all packaged up. She got somebody she can lap ride, and she got a girlfriend she can kiki. All wrapped up in one big little cute-faced package. She got everything she needs. She don't really need you all to be girlfriends. She got a girlfriend, Eugene. I said it. Moving on. He was all for it. But Scott was going to drag Quad. Period. And can't nobody make me think nothing different. Had it not been for Curtis, baby, Scott was getting ready to drag Quad. When he said, I know she ain't talking, I said, oh shit. He was getting ready to drag Quad. He was going to drag her. He really was. And I promise you, they would have never made it back from that. That would be one old nasty piece of online, offline, back and forth. We have been listening to that shit for the next 5 seasons, child, and beyond. They wouldn't be speaking, I don't believe, until the damn show was off. But he was going to drag her. He was going to drag her. And Curtis stopped him. Curtis stopped him. Then he was going to leave. And all he's saying, I'm looking at him and I'm saying, this is weak. This is weak. Man, if you don't stand up and put your shoulders back and cut this shit out, you have screwed this up. You've screwed this up. And you get ready to run. And running like that looks like what, y'all? Guilt. It looks like guilt. Curtis, listen, baby, Curtis was the GOAT. Curtis got this right together. Mr. Curtis, good job. Curtis snatched this, stopped him from leaving, told him, you got, this is television, bro. You got to get out there and you got to get your part out. And he talked to him in a way that he knew he could reach Scott. He never made Scott feel as though he was in the wrong when Curtis know damn well he wrong as hell. Curtis did that. He did that. Curtis is the GOAT for the season for me. Mr. Curtis, he shook that up. He really did. He shook that up. Child, and Scott, you owe him. You owe him. He saved you. Saved your marriage potentially. Definitely saved you from us. Because you was looking real bad, dude. Running out the door. You don't get your ass in there and sit down. But then they went and they crashed the stage. And I was like, uh-oh. Andy, like, now wait a minute. Who running the show? Andy, you was having a hard time holding on. The men crashed the stage. Quad is the goddamn, she over there playing Sister Circle. I said, Andy, girl, you losing control. You better pull it back in, Andy. You're losing the show. Anyway, moving on. But when he came out, they pulled him a chair up. And he out there. And after a minute, the men was like, they firing on him. We got to get him out of there. And because Toya started with the hard question. Toya said, are you being faithful in your marriage? Are you being faithful? And the point that he can't hurry up and answer. See, when somebody say, are you screwing around? You know, if you really ain't doing nothing, you'd be like, heavens no, what are you talking about? That wasn't a response. It was, Scott. Is you cheating? What you doing? You can't never just answer it right out. So I can't really say. I just think, I don't think he is, but I think he has the potential to do it. And he's all but is what it feels like to me. Like he's all butt cheating. You on there, you Twitter fingering, you playing around in them DMs. Do I think you've actually stuck the head in? No, I don't. I don't. But I don't know. We might find a little video of you shaking it a little bit or something. You gonna shake it? I wouldn't be surprised if we found a video of you shaking it and done sent it. It feels like you've all but gone all the way through with it. That's what it feels like. And I hope that I'm completely wrong. I hope I'm completely wrong. Though I don't think I am. I don't think I am. Y'all tell me in the comments what y'all think. And I ain't even got through none of my notes. But come on here. Let's go. Let's go. It was a lot. Look, listen. Just roll with me here. I'm going to be talking for a minute. It was a lot. This was a lot. And it was very hard to watch. I felt so torn on his part and her part. And then she's sitting there, she keeps crying. And I'm like, I can't take it. Listen, I'm an old softy. Y'all know I'm a mean old bitch and all of that. But I can't take it. I can't take it. All this crying. Even when it's characters that I don't care for, I can't take it. Y'all know for a fact, Mariah Huck is not one of my faves whatsoever. I've never been a fan of Mariah. But when Mariah gets on here and something goes down with Mariah, she gets to crying. That's the way I'm wired. I'm just wired that way. I really don't like to see women crying. I don't. And I don't like to see men crying either, because generally when a man gets to crying, if he ain't a whiny bitch, and it's just like a man that's really tearing up about something, man, it's like somebody just I don't like that. But I really don't like to see women crying. I don't like to see women crying. Not when it's genuine tears. It's rough. That's just the way I'm wired. But at the same time, I'll flip the switch and I'll be, but I don't like to see women crying and groveling, and I don't like that shit. Anyway, moving on. So we go through all this. Then there's this whole thing of when was the paperwork filed? Contessa's saying it's been almost 6 months since they filed the paperwork. He over there talking about a month. Scott, you couldn't possibly be this out of touch. And the more he talked, the more the women on the stage was like, I'm like, you're giving yourself the bad edit. You're giving yourself the bad edit. The shit looks a mess. It really do. Then this whole thing about the DMs, he was lying, he was deflecting, and they were saying it. Heavenly was sitting over there, Heavenly was like, he's lying, he's deflecting, he's lying. God, can you imagine if he was the other part of Heavenly? Heavenly would have been gone. She'd have been there, cussed Scott's ass out, embarrassed him, and been gone. Child, it'd have been a mess. Anyway, Contessa went on. She started talking. She was actually getting some things out, because he always shuts her down. Throughout the whole season, he's been shutting her down. She hasn't really been able to talk. She always ends up crying. But she was getting some things out when she said these arguments they're having, that the arguments are vicious and they go low. Why you having arguments like you arguing with Toya or Quad or one of them with your husband? You want to get out of here? That ain't supposed to be happening at all. Vicious and low, that's the beginning of the end. When y'all start cutting each other like that, that shit, anytime your at-home life feels like the War of the Roses, that's the beginning of the end. Hell, you passed the beginning. This shit's almost over when y'all start cutting each other like that. We're at the thought of it. You crying? Y'all done said way too much to each other. And then at one point when she said to him, you could tell she's like really fed up what she said. Like, seriously, what in the entire fuck, Scott? I said, oh. Because she don't even talk to him like that. Not when we see it. I don't know what she says in private, but it does slipped out on camera. She's fucked up. But I just felt like with this, I feel like she's at this point where she's just about done. And he need to hurry up and grab it up and hone it back in. And it ain't all about that. Get back in the corner, Tessa. It ain't that. That ain't. She's about done with that shit. Is how I feel. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Um, yeah. When she said. Then when they went backstage and she's like yelling at the ladies, but that's how she communicates. Because it's displaced anger. She's like screaming at Jackie because you're not allowed to scream at Scott. So we've seen that throughout the season too. It's displaced anger, and they understand it, and they just let it slide. Because that's another place. But bitch, what you hollering at me for? That's your bullshit out there. I know good and well you've grouped to get out my face, but they understand and they working with her. But that displaced anger so ugly, and she said, I'm tired of explaining it away. Beginning at the end. Beginning at the end. Anyway, in the hallway during the break, Quad ran up on Scott and she told him, and I was so happy to see this happen because, like I told you, he was getting ready to drag her, and just that little part of him getting ready to drag her is enough to trigger Quad. Okay, we know what she gives. That's enough to trigger her. But I was so glad to see that moment between them where she told him, listen, brother, I am not against you. I am Team Metcalf. Period. It was sincere. It wasn't put on. It wasn't nothing about no television, nothing like that. And I know he got it. And I felt like in that moment, it erased that other part because they were here at that point. And I thought that was good. I thought that was good because I was like, I'm a little worried about that. I'm like, I know Quad and Tessa really do like each other. But Scott dragging Quad, that's enough to sever all those ties. So. Cause look at the stuff with Cecil and Heavenly and Simone. They can't get out of it. You know what I mean? They tried, but they can't get out of it. Because they mad. They mad as hell about that shit. They still mad. They still mad. Cecil feel like she was wrong. She feel like Cecil was wrong. And they still mad. They still mad. But that's a whole nother situation. We'll get to it. Anyway, moving on. Toya and Contessa. The deepness of what used to be the friendship that's still there, you've seen it. Because where she really bared her soul, who she bared to? Toya. She went back there, she told her, I'm embarrassed. I am embarrassed. And when she was breaking down, Toya. She felt comfortable to say that to Toya. She ain't said that to, she's yelling at the rest of them. Even when Quad was trying to hug her and stuff, it was kind of cold. Like, I love you, but, she's in the midst of that displaced anger. But when she really, you seeing the vulnerable Contessa, she felt comfortable conveying that when it was just her and Toya. Her and Toya. That was it. Because when you seen her with her hairdresser and her stylist back, she's like, I never cry. Like, I don't be crying. I don't, it's still that old hard exterior stuff, but she was real with Toya because they used to be friends for real. That friendship is still there, still in there. And she said, I don't matter, my kids matter. I was like, that's problematic. That whole statement is problematic. Yes, you think of your children first, and the decisions that you make are about your children first. Sometimes it goes against what you think is right for you, and you take the brunt of it, but you think of your children first. That's what most parents do. But to voice it like that, I don't matter, only my children matter, nah, that's problematic. It's problematic. Even when you fly, they tell you put the oxygen mask on you first, then on your kid. Because if you pass out, you're no good to the damn kid. Moving on. Quad and Heavenly ended up calling out Jackie and Simone on their shit. And boy, we start all over again. This was a mess. A mess. When she said, it went back to, again, this thing off of the show. Some stuff Quad said when she was on What Happens Live. And she's like, Here Simone was pissed off because Quad said that whole makeup last year was fake and it was done for television. It was fake, honey. And that damn Simone sat up and said, I don't do fake shit for TV. Maybe you do. But I said, okay, we touched the nerve. Quad said, I said what I said, and I stand in it and I ain't taking it back. Something ain't right with y'all in that friendship, and we want to know what it is. So what is it? I said, come on, Sister Circle. Come on, Sister Circle. And at this point, I was realizing that Andy's losing the show to Sister Circle girl over there, because she's firing questions, and they kept going back and forth to a point where at some point, you know, she's questioning, and Simone's looking at Andy and looking at Quad, and she said, who's asking the questions here? Who is asking the questions? Then we found out Simone ain't even speaking to Heavenly. Ain't even speaking. Heavenly's like, I've reached out to you so many times, and you just, you know, stop playing games. We got questions. Y'all, and they was doing it again. They were covering it over, pretending like everything was good and everything was fine. I was like, Jackie, and I clocked it too. But now we know for a fact, Heavenly said, I talked to you. That's how I know it. Shit ain't right. And Quad said the same thing. I talked to you too. And the rest of the ladies is like, all a facade. All a facade. So in actuality, Simone, yeah, y'all are faking it for TV. Jackie's sitting over there crying, and that's the bad part. Jackie's crying over it. You see that old hard, cold, hard ass damn Simone, and they ain't dropped a tear. Mean as hell. I understand it. Boy, do I understand it. And there's a small part of Simone that is so petty. There's a small, she loves Jackie. We know that for a fact. Simone and Jackie completely love each other. And when because this whole shit, when they got to went back to that Buffy shit. This whole thing goes back to the Buffy thing. You didn't stick up for me. You didn't say enough. The way you acted was out of your character. All those things are true. But are you kidding me? Y'all whole 20+ year friendship is hanging in the balance about a bitch that ain't even here. Bitch ain't even on the show no more. Ain't friends with neither one of y'all. When's the last time y'all seen Buffy? And you two. She over there crying, and you so goddamn mean and petty. And I see you, because I'm mean and petty like that too. There's a part of Simone that I promise you, I bet money right now. There's a part of Simone that takes solace in the fact that Jackie's crying. That's why that evil whore won't drop a tear. She's sitting over there looking at Jackie like, yeah, bitch. I understand it. I understand it thoroughly. You mean and your ass is petty. Show is. It's been enough. It's been long enough, Simone. Knock it off before you really lose your friend for real. And you know you hurt. You know you hurt, but you ain't gonna show her. But it's that petty part of you. You got to let that go. That part of you that's happy that she's miserable. You gotta let that go, because that's the destructive part. Anyway, moving on. Then Quad goes and she's like, let me, because Simone said, who's asking the questions, Andy? Like, finally, she's got sick of Quad's shit. And Andy's like, oh, no, Quad, you're doing good. Because Quad was like, oh, I'm sorry. You ain't sorry, girl. You over there conducting your own interview. Sister Circle. Over there. But he's like, no, Quad, keep going. I'm like, trying to find you a new job, girl. Maybe Andy won't be here doing the reunions no more. Maybe we'll have you sitting up there. Think about it. Anyway, so I'm joking, girl. It ain't never going to happen. You will never get Bravo Andy out of his chair, sis. You'll be over there on the side being Sister Circle like you was doing. Anyway, moving on. Andy ain't that narcissistic as Andy. Not at all. Anyway, um, so they continue on, and she's asking the questions. And at one point, Simone got tickled with Quad. The question goes, say, "Fuck you, Quad." Again, they are a friend circle. They be hitting each other hard, but it always come back. It's a weird dynamic, but for them it works. It's a weird dynamic. They truly do talk hardcore to each other, but they would never with him. And I'll show you perfect example. You never seen Jocelyn Hernandez come back, did you? As much as people on this show can't stomach Toya and her bullshit, Jocelyn got completely out of order with Toya. And Buffy just didn't fit in. And we've not seen either one of them anymore. Mariah created the show. Where's she at? Anyway, moving on. Yeah. So Quad had asked, is there a world in which you'll be able to be cool with Heavenly actually being friends with Jackie and y'all not be fighting? Heavenly talking about, I given all I can give and I can't give no more. Child, Quad looks over there and said to Heavenly, now bitch. I said, oh Lord. I said, now bitch, why you have to go and say that now? Because Heavenly's a tackhead. She a tackhead. She don't know when to and when not to. Heavenly just Heavenly. She's just a mess. I was like, Heavenly, timing. Hilarious. But then they all had to like chuckle. They rough. They love hard on each other and they fight each other like sisters. They be rumbling, honey. You see a puff of smoke, and then you just see hands and feet coming out of the clouds, child. They a mess. Anyway, moving on. So then Andy goes and he gets the husbands, and the husbands come out. So we start again, and it's just the boys out there, and we get started. It's the boys, and I'm gonna put this out here. It's the guys and Andy. Okay? Because again, having Andy out there, it's like having one of the girls out there. So some of the shit that the guys are going to say ain't going to sit with Andy. And that's exactly what happened as we went with talking about Scott. And we started talking about the DMs and all of this stuff. And then there was a point when they were answering, like, what should you do? And I was getting very irritated with Scott because he was trying to play ignorance. See, that's one of those things. He's a doctor. You know, a lot of times people who are doctors and things like that, doctors, lawyers, people with higher education and a lot of degrees, they think they're the smartest one in the room when they're really not. They're really not. Because book sense and common sense, two completely different things. They exist in two different places. And yeah, you know. You act like you ain't got no goddamn common sense because you sitting over there talking that bullshit. I don't even know what the DMs are. I don't really know nothing about it. So the rest of the guys were like, oh, yeah. And Andy was like, really, Dr. Scott? What you saying, really? So like I said, it was the guys and Andy out there. He going on with this, hey, he don't understand the DMs. Bullshit. And then Curtis made the comment, you know, they're like, you can't have this shit in your phone. You just can't, you know. Now, they were like, well, they were saying, Eugene was saying, you know, I erase the stuff when stuff come in my DMs and I block them. You know, I may send a message and say, you know, I'm a married man. I cannot be carrying on like this, and I will block them. And Curtis said, well, I don't know about maybe not block them right away. Maybe you could hear the gasp, like, in the back room of the women, like, what is that? What you saying? Child, Jackie was like, kick his ass at it. So it was so funny. That was so funny. Um, that was the gasp heard all over Bravo Network, honey. So that was that. But then when Andy got to the point where Contessa needed to get to, when he started telling the story about the life coach and how he just made the whole story up. And, he just that. And, that's been some bullshit from the beginning. Like, we were like, what? Andy was like, what? Huh? And again, the husbands and Andy sitting on stage. I'm out of here. I've talked long enough. That was what went down, baby. It was a lot. I told you I was going to be talking a while. It was a lot. It was good, good, good. A lot. Rough to watch. Very emotional. A lot of this. A lot of up and down. And I still say, I've been dragging you. Scott Metcalf, I've been dragging you. I have. You're full of shit. But I am still Team Metcalf. I want to see you and Contessa fix it and be a unit, but you got to cut the bullshit, bro. You must. You must. And Tessa, you must toughen up and stop playing doormat to your husband. I said it. I'll see y'all for part 3 next week. Later.